right, so welcome to Happy Friday. Um, I'm happy that we're able to gift another edition of Eat, Learn, and Grow with Tinhorn. And I would like to start us off by first, let's go ahead and just have a moment of self-care. And how I'd like to do that is let's do a simple breathing exercise. We're going to be breathing deeply in through our nose, and like kind of imagine your belly, you're filling your belly up with um, energizing air. I think of it when I breathe, I tend to think of all the goodness that's out there. I'm inhaling it and bringing it into myself, and then we'll exhale through our mouth. And I like to think of like everything that shouldn't be in my body, mind, and spirit. That's how I'm getting it out. It's just with that exhale. And if you can join me, we'll do 4 of those breaths right now. I appreciate you taking that time to give yourself time to take care of yourself. Um, I think it's just how we're in unprecedented times. I know for me, I kind of sometimes feel like a cat with part of my whiskers cut off because everything is the same, but it's different. And so whatever may have been routine for me is no longer routine. And something as simple as just doing some deep breathing to take care of myself is something that I forget to do. So thank you for joining me with that. You are, as I just like to welcome you to Eat, Learn, and Grow with Tinhorn Consulting. Um, Really quick, this is an episode sponsored by Tinhorn, so you'll see that what we do is we love to ignite cultural connections, which is what we're doing today by creating this gathering. Can you still hear me? I know my AC just kicked on. We also devise value-driven, culturally relevant marketing, and we do that by customized, fun, and engaging training. So, um, to what I have been thinking about is during this time of physical distancing, it may feel like we're alone, but I would like you to think of this time for the next hour is that we are together. This is our new communities that we've been building for the past 5 weeks, and that you are not alone. We're here together going through this experience. So with that, I would like to talk a little bit about our speaker. Um, I met Marty, it feels like a lifetime ago, but I think it was less than a month and a half ago. I met him in New Orleans when we were going through a training with other Native American business owners. And he shared, it's the first time I've ever heard someone talk about gratitude in business terms. I've never heard it talked about in that way. And what I took away was that there's actually return on investment there's return on investment from gratitude. And I really enjoyed Marty's storytelling abilities. And that's why I'm so pleased that he's agreed to share his story with us today. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see. So let me tell you a little bit about Marty. So Marty Edwards has been an entrepreneur for more than 35 years. He founded White Hawk Group, an Oklahoma-based general contracting firm, in 1999. His Choctaw heritage and majority ownership qualified the firm for participation in the SBA 8A Business Development Program, and that's the construction side of those operations. They closed, unfortunately, in 2017. White Hawk had acquired contracts totaling in excess of $200 million over those 18 years of operation. The Army Corps of Engineers was a primary customer, and White Hawk Engineering, a civil engineering and survey services firm, was founded in 2010. Marty Edwards retains ownership but is no longer involved in the daily operations. Marty, can you say the name of your consulting for me, please?
Yes, it's Yakoki.
So Yakoki Consulting, Marty's newest venture, was founded on his passion to help small, minority, and woman-owned firms. Yakoki is how Choctaw say thank you, and we say Hankia in Hualapai, Marty. Marty Edwards is Yakoki's Chief Gratitude Officer. His personal and professional story is a testimony to this truth. If you get your mind and spirit right, profound gratitude can eventually emerge through the darkest days of struggle and loss. And with that, will you all please welcome Marty as he shares his story with us on unleashing the power of gratitude. And Lisa,
Thank you.
go ahead and take the PowerPoint, and Marty, it's all you.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, April, and I appreciate the invitation to join all of you today. And it's a real blessing to me. So, you know, these are times, as you've stated, that are have got great challenges to us, and we need all the tools that we can gather to control our mind, control our spirit, and be productive and be hopeful. And that's what I am looking forward to sharing with you today. And I'm speaking to you from Eastern Oklahoma. Oklahoma is where I'm from, but for the last 15 years, I've had a home in Nashville, Tennessee. I haven't seen my home in a month and a half because right before the virus hit and everything was shut down, I had made the trip to see my two grandkids here and my daughter and my son-in-law that is here in Oklahoma. But just as soon as I arrived, well, all the appointments that I had set up, they all got canceled, and you all know what happened. And so I've had a 8-year-old grandson and a 5-year-old granddaughter that I've been quarantined with for a month and a half, which is wonderful. But there have been times when Papa has needed some extra measure of social distancing. So, but it's been great, and I'm looking forward to spending this time with you today and sharing more of my story. Lisa, do we have the first slide up? I'm not seeing it on my screen. There we go. Let's go ahead and advance to the second slide, please. Oops, go back one. There we go. Yeah, I've titled my presentation "Unleashing the Power of Gratitude," and I say that because I think we keep gratitude bottled up too many times. We're kind of afraid to express it, especially in business circles. And we're going to talk more about that as we go on. But if we'll just let it go and unleash it, there is such great power in gratitude. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of my professional story. I'll share more about my family's story over the last 4 years and some challenges that we've faced. But it's a story of courage, struggle, and loss. And through that experience, I have discovered some survival skills that I'm eager to share. And so that's a big part of my desire today, is to share those. And then we're going to dig deeper into some principles of gratitude that if we can apply to our personal lives as well as our professional lives, we'll be greatly benefited, I believe. Yeah, next slide, please. That was good. I always like to say this to my listening audiences, is that, you know, time is such a valued possession. And we're in short supply of it. So for that reason, I'm very humbled and I'm honored that you're going to spend a minute listening to my story. Yeah, next slide, please. I'm going to be sharing some pretty personal stories, and you might ask why. But I want to state that, you know, this is not about me. There's parts of my story that I wish it wasn't about me, but what I'm sharing these personal stories for is to share those survival skills that I was talking about. And so that all of us have challenges in our lives, and some of you may be different and even greater intensity than mine. I don't know. But there are some things that I want to share that will help you with some of those really tough things in life. And I like to repeat this quote. This is Steve Cummings is my minister, preacher in my church in Nashville, and he says this often, and I think for good reason. He said, because all of us is, you have either been in a crisis, you're in the middle of a crisis, or you're gonna be in a crisis. So at some point in your lives, you're gonna need the things that we're gonna be talking about. And so I'm gonna be illustrating some of these principles, these very powerful principles of gratitude. So let's go to our next slide, please. There we go. This is a little bit about my professional life. I've had 3 different companies over a 35-year span, and I probably should update the slide because it's probably been about 38 years, but I've been busy providing commercial construction services, primarily for the federal government. I was an 8A participant. Whiteout Group, firm I founded in 1999, was a general contracting firm. And I closed those operations in 2017, and I'll be revealing a little bit more about why I made that change. But we were very privileged to participate in the 8A program that the SBA offers for minority and women-owned firms. During the 8A term, that 9-year term, we completed more than 170 million in federal contracts, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was a frequent customer. Did work in Oklahoma at Tinker Air Force Base, Altus Air Force Base, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Actually, the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration in Oklahoma City, where the headquarters are, we did a lot of work there. I also did work out of state at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then I had a 5-year long contract at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Next slide, please. This is my a picture of my sweet wife, Karen. And on April 22nd, 2016, she was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Esophageal cancer is a very rare and a really vicious and difficult cancer. This picture that you see here is one of my very favorites of her. And one of the reasons that it is that this picture was taken only 3 weeks after her initial diagnosis. And of course, we were all devastated. We were all filled with fear. We were concerned. But from this picture, you'll see that she had tremendous courage. She was a joyful person. She was not easily knocked off of her feet. She was just extremely strong. And her strength came from her faith, and because she was an extremely spiritual person. And so what you see here is a picture of joy, love, and gratitude. This was what gratitude looked like. She underwent brutal chemotherapy and radiation. The radiation on her esophagus and her stomach was so brutal and just cooked her insides, and it got to the point where she couldn't hardly even drink water. So she had to have a feeding tube installed to even be able to take in food and to take in water to nourish her body. And all of that chemotherapy and radiation was done to prepare her for a really drastic surgery to remove the tumor that was blocking her food path. And so after having the better part of her esophagus removed and her top third of her stomach taken out, and then her stomach relocated up high into her chest, the tumor was removed. And she just, for 5 months straight during all those procedures, it was just, she experienced severe nausea almost every hour of every day. But then on October 22nd, exactly 18 months from diagnosis, her battle, this 18-month battle with cancer was over. because she did pass from this life on October 22nd, 2017. But she won. She was victorious that day. And she told me from the beginning of the diagnosis that I have a guaranteed victory with this battle. The battle is severe, but I'm either going to regain my health because of the treatments, or I'm going to go see the Lord. I'm going to win. I got a guaranteed victory. And that kind of determination was just infectious to myself and all of our girls and all of our family and everybody that knew her. So I'm so proud of her for that. You know, and it's so on that day, Karen began a new, better life that I'm certain of. My faith gives me that certainty. You know, and it's certainty that produces peace. It's uncertainty that causes so much anxiety. And that's what we're all dealing with this coronavirus situation. Whoever even heard of such a thing like this that was so contagious, and just you don't know what the results are going to be. And even those that catch it, some people it hardly phases them and they get a little bit sick, but then others they end up in intensive care. So there's just so much uncertainty about it that it's anxiety producing, and then that's natural. So that's hopefully some of these principles of gratitude will help you with that. But during the cancer battle, during that 18 months, I was really forced to shut down my business, lay off about 20 employees, and cease operations. And then I ended up spending almost nearly all the money I had trying to help Karen, trying to help her. And I have no regret about that at all. So that's when we closed down the construction side of White Hawk Group. Next slide, please. Yeah, I know after hearing the basics here of my story, you might be thinking, you know, what does gratitude have to do with that really tough story? You know, where's the connection? When's he going to get to that part about joy, satisfaction, and gratitude? Well, actually, what I want you to know is that I've actually revealed the foundation for much of my gratitude. And I'm going to talk more about it here in a minute. So bear with me. It's a difficult story. It's tough. I'm not making any. I'm not diminishing it at all. I lived it, but it is a story of hope and joy, and I want to share that with you. Let's go to the next slide. Here's something that I think is a truth that can change your life. And April was good enough to quote me in the introduction, but it's if you get your mind and your spirit right, profound gratitude really can eventually emerge out of those darkest days of struggle and loss. And so if you're in the middle of a crisis, we're all in the middle of a crisis. That's why we're here together trying to encourage one another. But whatever you face in life, hold on to gratitude because it is powerful. Let's go to the next slide, please. Because like no other time in my life, I now have, especially through the experiences of the last 4 years, I now have gratitude for a loving God that has sustained me during the dark days and continues to sustain me now and is with me. I am so certain of that, and that gives me peace. I also have gratitude for 3 incredible daughters. And here's my 2 grandkids that I've been in social isolation with. And it's wonderful. And then I have the 2 grandkids so far because all 3 of my girls are married. My middle daughter, Lainey, got married last June. So I've got all 3 daughter weddings over and done with. For that, I'm grateful. So I am so proud of all of them. And so now I have 3 son-in-laws. And yeah, I'm even grateful for them. Seriously, they're great guys. And they are, I'm so honored to be their father-in-law and call them family. But I have gratitude for family and friends and especially coming out of the experience that I had, you know, there was things that I needed. I was encouragement. There were so many days when it was just so hard to put one foot in front of the other as we battled that vicious disease. And I'd have friends that would call me and text me and tell me they were praying for us, and that would just provide a word of encouragement just at the right time when I needed it the most. And so for that, I have a great deal of gratitude. And then finally, next slide, please. I do have gratitude for an amazing marriage. We didn't have a perfect marriage, but we had an amazing marriage. And it lasted for nearly 39 years. And so I continue today to thank God that I had this incredibly strong, brave, and spiritual woman in my life for all those many years. And that's my sweet Karen. Next slide, please. You know, this is something that I've observed over time, but I really observed it during our experience with the cancer battle, is that anytime that you have great loss or great tragedy of any sort, or a difficult thing come up in front of your face, like this coronavirus, it brings you to a decision. You've got to decide, you know, how am I going to react? Am I going to react with anger and bitterness? Or am I going to respond with gratitude? And I've chosen the latter. And I hope and I recommend that that's the response and the answer that you give to tough things in life, is that you face it with gratitude. And so I'm going to be trying to share some things that will be practical to you, that you really can use. And, you know, as an entrepreneur with nearly 40 years experience, I have lived that life. And so when I'm consulting with and talking to small business people, not that I know everything. In fact, I probably know more ways of not doing some things, and I'm glad and eager to share that. So I didn't just read about entrepreneurship in a book. I've lived it for a long time, and I've made mistakes, and you will make mistakes. And so I feel like, hopefully, though, that I do have some knowledge that will be helpful to you, and by sharing that with you will help you in your personal life and your businesses. Next slide, please. You know, April alluded to it a little bit, that, you know, discussing gratitude in a business environment, that we don't do that too often. And I get people that'll ask me, some guys especially. It seems like you ladies out in the audience got a lot more sense and insight into some of these things. I've observed from my 3 daughters and my wonderful wife. But yeah, as business owners, we just say, you know, show me the data so I can make a decision. What is, you know, this seems like a kind of touchy-feely subject, kind of lightweight fluff stuff. Well, I'm going to make the proposal that gratitude is a powerful growth strategy. So hang with me, hear me out on some of these points, and give me a chance. You know, because marketing, that's my background. I got my degree in marketing from Oklahoma Christian College in Oklahoma City, and back when marketing was first invented 100 years ago. But one of the things I learned early on, and I've learned through running my own businesses over these years, is that business and marketing is all about relationships. And that when we have an attitude of gratitude, it really is infectious. And unleashing the power of gratitude creates the ability to have genuine marketing communication, because there's a relationship there. And so when we're talking to potential customers, or our customers, and we're trying to grow that business, we need to communicate in a genuine way. And when we're genuine and transparent, and we do that with gratitude, it builds that relationship that will provide fuel for growth. And then, like I said, the attitude of gratitude really is infectious. You know, your customers are going to be standing in a long line because they want to get in the line and want more of that. And then your employees, if you have employees, you know, your staff, they're going to understand that they're appreciated. My owner, my company truly does appreciate me and has gratitude. And therefore, I'm going to respond by going to battle for him. I'm going to go to war for him. And so, him or her. So that gratitude is important in that respect. And then the last point here is that gratitude will heighten your sensitivity to the needs of others. When you have genuine emotion and genuine gratitude being expressed, and people know that, you're going to get insight into their needs. And really, isn't that at the core of all successful businesses, is understanding the need of their customers and then responding to it because you're grateful for them. And so it's one of those foundational building blocks that we have in successful business growth. Next slide, please. Here's the other thing, and I've alluded to it, is that gratitude is going to get you through the hard times of life. And we have difficult things come our way in business life. You know, we have sales slumps. We have like what's going on right now. We're having to rely on the federal government to help us make it through it. Hopefully those things come through, and then there'll be more reality than just talk. And I think there will be in large part. But there's tough things that come along in life. And so when you have a personal tragedy combined with your business difficulties, you need all the help you can get. And so gratitude is going to help you do that. And one of the things I point out is that gratitude, it leads you to joy. And you need joy in your life. You need joy in your personal life and your business life. But you need to realize that joy and happiness, they're not the same thing. They're easily confused, but joy is so much deeper. Happiness is the things that happen to you in life, right? So when you have circumstances that are all good and everything's happy, well, that's what you get. But then when things get tough, well, the happiness just melts away. But joy is not that way. When you have joy in your life, it's so much deeper and so much more substantial than happiness. So, I'll never be happy that my wife Karen had cancer. I will never be happy that she passed from this life at 59 years old. But even during the battle, her and I together, we experienced joy. We experienced that. We even experienced some happiness during those difficult, dark days. But we certainly experienced joy. And the root and the foundation of our joy was our faith. We had a common faith that there was more to life than this cancer that we were looking at and being faced with. And for that, we had great joy. And so thank God that there's more to life than cancer. Thank God there's more to life than this coronavirus and its effects and the loss of life that it's created. So we had joy because we had an understanding and a faith that the Lord was very, very near to us during those 18 months and beyond still. And so that's the joy that I'm talking about. And when you discover joy, fear and anxiety kind of start subsiding. They may not go away, and they don't go away quick. And they're going to return, but fear and anxiety subsides. And what starts to take its place is contentment. What starts to take anxiety's place is confidence. And so that grows. And then joy begins to settle in. And so joy, it's a maturing process. It happens over time. And so as you get adjusted to the difficulty that you're facing, well, then as the joy starts to grow, well, then you mature in other ways. And so, but it's in those times of severe crisis and trial that the maturing process is accelerated. It really takes off. And so for that reason, I have gratitude. And here's the last point I want to make is that in my opinion and in my experience, that one of the greatest tools to get through tough times is eternal perspective, is having the perspective that there's more to this life than we're currently experiencing. And so eternal perspective will allow you to persevere under trial. So I encourage you to have perspective beyond the here and the now, and beyond what you can physically see. And it's eternal perspective that does deliver joy. And so gratitude that produces joy is going to get you through some tough times. All right, next slide, please. All right, let's talk about some of these principles of gratitude. The first one I'm going to talk about is that gratitude must be pursued. You know, in times of trial, during those 18 months of battling cancer, I'm not naive. Gratitude was elusive. It was hard to find. But I found myself, and Karen was the inspiration for a lot of these feelings and strengths that I'm talking about, and these survival skills that we developed together and that I have today, is that if I just look for the good, even in the darkest of days, it's helpful. And so gratitude must be pursued. You know, towards the end of Karen's life, and I'll share this with you, I don't mind doing it, but towards the end of her life, the pain had gotten so severe. Despite all efforts, she had great doctors, great medications, but the pain was just getting horrific. And the doctors told us that there was one procedure that they could try that had a 50-50 chance of working, and that was a nerve block. Said if we block the nerves in her abdomen area and it works, it will give her the time that she has left on earth will be pain-free. But if it doesn't work, well, it's not invasive procedure and it's not a risky procedure to try, but just be aware that it may not work. Well, it worked. It actually worked. And so for the first time in many, many months, I saw her face relaxed. I saw the pain just melt off of her face. Her smile returned, and it was such a blessing. But that lasted for only 2 days because she took a real sudden downturn, and that's when she passed away, was 2 days after that nerve block working. And of course, we were devastated, just couldn't understand, you know, how we only got 2 days of seeing her that way. You know, and it seems like a funny thing to say given the severity of her sickness, but she really experienced kind of a sudden death. It wasn't the day that we expected that she would die. And so we were pretty devastated, and we just couldn't understand why we only got 2 days. But because I had been conditioning myself to pursue gratitude, I had a thought came to me. I wanted to try to see some good even out of the most difficult. And that thought is that for those 2 days, I got to see Karen's face in a way that I believe is what her face was going to look like and does look like today in heaven. So I got to see her heavenly face right in front of my eyes. And so I count that as a tremendous blessing, and I'm eternally grateful for that experience and for those 2 days. So as tough as it was, I just feel like I had a gift handed to me by God. Let's talk about the next principle, and that is gratitude must be protected. I know you probably have experienced this yourselves, is that when you're happy and you're just in a good mood and you're grateful and you've got this spirit of joy and gratitude going on, well, somebody comes along and they just can't stand it that you're having such a good day. So they have to gripe and complain about something. You know, they just have to try to ruin your gratitude. They just have to try to step on your joy. Well, don't let that happen. Be protective of your gratitude. And I like this quote. You've probably heard it before, but some people grumble that roses have thorns. I am grateful that thorns have roses. And that's Alphonse Carr. And then the comedian Lily Tomlin said this, and I got a kick out of this. Lily Tomlin said, man invented language to satisfy his deep need to complain. Isn't that the truth? So gratitude must be protected. Our next principle, gratitude must be performed. And this is a really important one. I like what John Kennedy, our president, had to say. He said, as we express gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. And so we must perform our gratitude, not just think about it, not just have it in our head, and not just say it. We need to put it into action. And so I like this quote: feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So you have this gift of gratitude, but if you don't put it into action, it really doesn't have the effect or the power that it can have. And then the next point, gratitude must be personalized. I tell my small business people that I'm working with, I said, customers are so smart. Your employees are so smart. They can detect a fake a mile away. And, sending out just a canned thank you, it may be worse than sending no thanks at all. Because if you're not genuine and if your gratitude expression is not personalized, it can come across as being a little bit manipulative. And so we've got to be careful about our gratitude expressions, and they must be specific to that person. Use that person's name as you type out an email. Let them know that I didn't just give this no thought at all, and I'm just saying thank you. That I am truly personalizing my gratitude. Then the next principle: gratitude must be preached to your choir. And I just encourage all small businesses and whatever circles you run in, your friendship circles, is that permeate your culture with gratitude, because it is infectious. And that power of gratitude will spread and more. So talk it up, show it frequently. Recognize your star employees all throughout the year. Don't just give them a one-time Christmas bonus and say, no, thank you. Just have all these different kinds of things and programs that all throughout the year recognizes your people that are helping you make it. And so the same that can be said to your spouse and your kids. We need to be building family cultures of gratitude, because that kind of power will be spread to your kids as well. So don't let negativity dominate the air. Just shoo it out the door and spread this gratitude often. I like this quote by Dr. Camille Preston, who is addressing personnel management issues. But the same can be said for your spouse and your kids. But she said, negative feedback results in lower engagement, high turnover, and quite frankly, substandard work. Gratitude builds engagement and trust. It increases retention and results in higher quality work. And when receiving feedback, we need 3 positives to outweigh the impact of 1 negative. And said differently, we hear and we feel the negative with 3 times the strength that we do and experience the positive. So for your coworkers and your business associates and whatever circles you run into, make sure that everyone feels appreciated. Make sure they feel valued. And because if they don't, if your people feel undervalued and underappreciated, they're going to disconnect. And they're not going to be plugged in like you want them to be in your organization. And so gratitude is a great solution for curing high turnover within your ranks. So it's really important. And gratitude also keeps kids and keeps your spouse plugged in. So it keeps connection. Then a next principle of gratitude is that gratitude must be promoted in all of your marketing communication. Let gratitude thoroughly infiltrate your brand, be a part of your company brand story, your personal brand, as well as your company brand. And your positive, grateful spirit will come out and it will be heard loud and clear. And so the reverse is equally true, is that when you take people for granted, you take customers for granted, and your marketing communication comes across that way, you're going to experience the negative results. So negativity, arrogance, taking customers for granted, they're going to drown out any contrived expression of gratitude that you may try to put out there. Then the next principle, gratitude will propel you forward as you transition to new beginnings. And this idea of transitioning to new beginnings is so appropriate for the times that we're in right now, is that we're at a point where we're transitioning. We've had to change the way we do business. We've had to change the way that we communicate with customers. We've had to change the way that we serve customers. We've got so much change that's come into our lives. But this is nothing new. We don't like change much. We're kind of change adverse. And for good reason, is because of the unknowns about the future. And so we're in a state of transition. And I came across a really, really good book sometime back, because I'm in personally, I'm in the unexpected situation of being widowed. I'm a widower. I never dreamed I would be in this situation. So I never prepared for it. But here I am. I'm having to transition. What I'm transitioning to, in some ways, I don't know. I don't have a clue. But the recognition that change process and transition, it really is a process. And so I'd like to lay out for you what William Bridges says in his book, Transitions, Making Sense of Life's Changes. He says that every successful transition has 3 stages to it. And the first stage is the ending. The second stage is the neutral zone. And then the last stage is the new beginning itself. And so let's talk about this first stage of transition, the ending. In order to move forward, you need to have a recognition and an acknowledgement. Well, there is an ending. This is my life that it was is over. And I can't do anything about it. And so me as a unexpected widower, I could, there's things out of my control. And now I have the recognition that my marriage of 39 years is no longer, and it's ended. Well, it's the same thing with this coronavirus situation. Our old way of doing business, it probably will not come back exactly the same. There's going to be positive things about it, though. There's going to be things that are exciting about these new ways of communicating. Who would ever thought I'd be participating and presenting this and sharing my story with some of you all over the place? It's really cool. It's awesome. But there is the recognition that the old way of things are over with. There is an ending. And in order to deal with that ending, gratitude is so critical. You need to have gratitude for your former life. You need to have gratitude as you think back about how things used to be. And if you have that kind of grateful spirit to you, it's going to help you deal with the ending and not be as impacted by it. And so gratitude will also gratitude will also help you avoid the trap of anger. You know, as you have an ending in your life, it's real easy to be at that point of decision that I talked about, to be angry and to be mad and bitter about it. That is a trap that is not good. And gratitude will help you keep from that. Well, let's talk about that center part of transition, and that's the neutral zone. Well, the neutral zone is a time of reorientation. It's a time, okay, the ending has occurred. I don't know what the new beginning is going to be yet, but I don't want to rush through the neutral zone too quickly. It's important to pause and reflect. And this is one of the blessings, I think, that we were talking with a group earlier this week about, is that this coronavirus and the forced isolation has put us in a time of recognizing silence. Silence can be really good. It really is a helpful thing for us to just shut our mouths. I have a hard time doing that. As you can tell, I like talking. But during this neutral zone, during this time of transition where we just kind of pause and reflect, it's helpful. It sets us up for the new beginning that is to come. And so don't rush it. You know, find a time to place, a time and a place to be alone, pray, reflect on things, and then reflect on the gratitudes while you're in the neutral zone. There's some great things to be thankful for. We've all been forced to go home and spend more time with our families. Maybe you're grateful for that. Maybe you're not. I don't know. Hopefully you are. But reflect on gratitudes for your current circumstance. And then the last stage of transition is the new beginning. And as we move into the new beginning, start to pay attention to external signs and inner signals that will help guide you to the decisions of what your new beginning is going to look like. And so when we have gratitude for the new resources, gratitude for the new relationships that are starting to come together as we are getting into our new beginning, that gratitude will give you enthusiasm. That gratitude will give you courage as you march out into your new frontier that you've never been into before. So gratitude is so important in transition. And the next principle I want to discuss is that gratitude prepares us for emotional connection. And gratitude is most effective, listen to me here, gratitude is most effective when it's expressed at the least expected time. And to try to illustrate that point, I know we've got mostly our ladies are out there in the listening audience, but I think I saw a couple of guys. But here's a tip for the married guys, and girls can pass it along to your fellas. But expressing gratitude when it's least expected. On any other day except February 14th, give your wife or your lady friend a rose. On any other day, some other part of the year, surprise her with a dozen roses. Now, I don't recommend that you give it to her on February 15th, because that just means that you were an idiot and you forgot. But find an off-calendar day to express that love and that gratitude. And so, don't be afraid to express emotion. Don't be afraid to express gratitude or express love. Telling others how we feel, that cements relationship. And relationships, like I've said, are at the heart of every successful business. And relationships are at the heart of every successful family as well. So to illustrate, yes?
I just would like to let you know we have like 6 minutes left.
Okay.
And I was hoping we could still have some time to have discussion. I know you had some questions for the group.
So I do.
Let me know the time.
Yeah, you bet. April, about the only thing I had left was to share the poem. Would you like for me to do that, or would you like me to jump to the discussion questions?
Let's go ahead and go into discussion, and then if
Okay,
people want to stay on after one, then if they do, could listen to your poem.
that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Let me, Lisa, you may have to advance to the, okay, let's go to the next. Yeah, there we go. The discussion questions. Let's put those back up. Previous, there we go. I'm going to put these questions out there to the group, and then I'll give you a minute to talk, to think about it or to write down some things. And then we're going to let everyone share that would like to. What are some life experiences that brought you the most gratitude? Now, I've talked about some difficult things in life that brought me gratitude, but there's certainly positive experiences as well. So your response to that doesn't have to be a negative experience necessarily. It can be a positive. And then the other question is, what influences or strategies have helped you pursue gratitude when it was elusive? We'll leave those questions up so that you can look at them and then make some notes. And then I think April's suggestion is whoever would like to hang on, maybe past the time a little bit, because I do want to be respectful of that time of everyone's. I'll share with you, and my point about the poem, I've never written a poem in my life until I wrote this particular poem, but I do it to illustrate the point of be fearless about expressing gratitude and expressing emotion. We are reserved in business circles, and we don't like, we're slow to do that, but I'm trying to encourage everyone to be real, be genuine, and be fearless about expressing emotion. And so I think at this point, Lisa or April, let's open up the microphones and let everyone unmute that would like to respond to this. But who out there has a life experience that brought you the most gratitude? What came to your mind?
I'd like to share.
Yes, great.
So my name is Kina, and at the age of 15 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It was pretty devastating, but I was in close contact with my doctor and just made up my mind that I was going to make my mission to be as healthy as possible. And then as I got older, that was something that I shared with others because I didn't want them to have to go through the same thing that I've gone through for the past 32, 33 years. I'm 47 now and have been able to stay very active with my sports, doing marathons, half marathons, and training other people. But I would say that having a diagnosis like that forced me to get healthy. I wasn't unhealthy before, but it kept me on point to make sure I never had a diabetes vacation. So that for me, looking back, I'm very grateful because I hold myself accountable every day. And had that not happened, I don't know where I would be today. So
That's fantastic.
Thank you, Kina. Would
yeah.
someone else like to share their gratitude moment in their life? Go ahead, Miss Deborah.
So I don't know whether you guys saw my son coming and giving me hugs on the video a while ago. He was making sure I had enough water and everything while I was working, but being told I was going to have a son with Down syndrome was not a good experience because of all the negative things they told me. But all I can say is I would not trade that experience for the world. So something that started out negative has been one of my very greatest blessings.
That is powerful.
Love that, Deborah. Anyone else like to share? I'd actually like to share mine. I became a much later in life mother, and I had pretty much been a single career-minded type A person my entire life. And when I became a first-time mom, like significantly later in life, what I have gratitude for was like not only my family but many of my friends and even coworkers who were friends. They all came together and they just loved on my daughter Zoe. It kind of reminded me of the was it Cinderella? Is it the Cinderella? No, Snow White. The Snow White cartoon Disney, like how, you know, when Aurora was born and like the whole kingdom came out bearing their gifts for this precious spirit. That's how I felt when my daughter came into the world. It's just she was brought in with so much love from people who didn't even know her, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Who else is?
What about, did anyone have some strategies or influences that that helped you find gratitude when it was so elusive that you weren't seeing it yourself? Well, if not, you can be thinking of that question, because that will be good preparation for you to face a trial that may be coming your way or one that you're currently in. But there really is strategies that will help you find that gratitude. And one of them was actually Kina, I think, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, was that she shares her story. So sharing, and that's what I'm doing. I'm here to help myself. If y'all get some good out of it, great. But it's so helpful to me and brings gratitude home to me to when I share my story. Is that what, and I think I heard you I kind of alluding to that, didn't I?
About sharing your story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, and there was a lot of time that I went through a lot of shame for having diabetes and having to do the multiple daily injections and feeling like a drug addict. But you know, sharing my story with others, I feel like has made them more open to just, you know, showing my vulnerability. And even if it's uncomfortable, I know that it's helping people by me sharing that. And that's why I love this community so much, is that you know, I really feel that's, you know, authentic, and you know, people really do, you know, want to make a difference. So, you know, I'm definitely very grateful that you shared your story, because I think it's very healing when we can share our stories. And it's, you know, it's like we're finding our place in the world when we can find a way to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one tip I'll share is that I've found to be important is to focus on what you have instead of what you don't have. You know, when Karen and I were in the battle of the cancer, we talked a great deal about what we've been blessed with and what we have. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about what we were about not to have. And so, not that we were naive about that, but it's just a really helpful mindset to be mindful, count your blessings, as they say. You know, be so busy counting your blessings that you don't have time to complain. You know, so concentrate on what you have rather than what you don't have. And don't be looking at yourself in comparison to others, which is kind of a related thing. Is, you know, don't look at other people and what they have. Concentrate on what you have.
Marty, if I can be so candid, since we are predominantly a female audience here, I'd just like to share, like Marty's almost like the Indian unicorn. Hey, in two respects, that we've just heard a Native man profess his love for a woman. And I don't know about how many of you have heard that, but that's not common in my upbringing, where a man is authentically expressing his love for his partner. And then so I love that, because it does exist. And I also love that you're a Native man who expresses your emotions. And I think that is so healing for us, especially as Indigenous women, or just all women or people, is just to hear someone express their love and be in touch with their emotions, and that it does exist. So.
Well, thank you for that. That's the first time I think I've ever been called an Indian unicorn. I can't wait to tell my granddaughter. She loves unicorns.
Exactly. And so to close us out in a good way, I'm gonna, if you feel so moved, you can either share or not share. I'm gonna ask us, can we share one word of gratitude, what we have gratitude for today? So Lisa, would you share your one word?
My family.
Thank you. And Marty?
Our creator.
Linda? You're gonna need to unmute yourself, Miss Linda. It's at the very bottom of the bottom left.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Grandchildren.
Thank you, Linda. Thirsty? RJ?
Oh, sorry. I use this for personal purposes.
Gratitude.
I would say my family.
Thank you. Jay Lombardi?
Nico, my 10-year-old son.
Your son. Thank you. Joanne?
I think just what you mentioned about gratitude. I'm grateful for my husband. He's had a lot of issues with cancer himself, but he still shows gratitude every day.
Thank you. Barbara, Mom?
Life.
I love it. Miss Deborah?
Connections.
Ooh, connections. Miss Keena?
Sam.
Aw. Miss Amber?
Health.
Health. Miss Jen?
I think above all the things everybody else said is family and friends and everything, but being able to have this platform to be able to connect with you all is absolutely amazing in this moment right now.
So her word is Zoom.
Miss Charlotte? We can't hear you, Charlotte.
There you go.
We'll give you a moment. Can I go to Miss 505, Miss Rio Rancho? What are you grateful for? And you'll need to unmute as well. Let me see if I can do it for you. Oh, okay, you're unmuted.
Okay. Today.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like that.
Go back to Charlotte. If you can hear me, Charlotte, we can't hear you. Okay. That's okay, but oh, there's my daughter. Hi, baby. Hi, Zobear.
Hi, Mama.
That's my heart beating outside my body.
Yes.
And, so with that, I just, it's so good. Like I said, we're not alone.
Let's see her face again. She's so cute. Tell her to come back closer so we can see her.
Zobear. Mayua. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, you are so cute.
Love you, baby. All right. All right. My love tank is filled now. I'm good for the afternoon. I hope you all are too. I want to thank again Marty for sharing your story, and that's all it is. Our stories are medicine, and you know our silence kills us. So when we speak, that's part of the healing. So thank you for helping us all heal with your story.
You're very welcome, and I say Yakoki.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Marty.
So again, if you'd like to, you can stay on to hear Marty's poem, and if not, then have a beautiful Friday, and we will be continuing forward in May with our Fridays. So RJ is going to be next Friday's speaker, and I believe if you want to jump on and add some detail, but he's going to be talking about resilience next week. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about resilience in this time from, I guess, a security perspective, but also synthesize it with where we are in this pandemic.
All right. Well, with that, I thank everybody, and I will go ahead and turn it back over to Marty. And you can
Wait,
stay on
before
if you'd
Marty
like to
starts.
hear his poem.
Sorry, before Marty starts, I know Kina wanted to share a link that she had talked about prior, and I had in the chat box. There's been requests for the link. So, Kina, can you share?
Yeah. So I don't have the technical skills to be able to put it in the chat box. I put my phone number and my email. Or you guys can Facebook Messenger me. I have it on my phone. I just don't know how to get the link from my phone to the computer. So if you personal message me, I'll send it to you. That would be the best suggestion. I can email it to you too, Lisa. I'm just trying to figure it out now. I'm a newbie at this. So I'm doing my best.
Can you tell us what the email address or what the address is?
Yes, my email address is GETFITWITHKYNA So you can either email me or Facebook Messenger me or text me. Whatever is easier for you, I'll figure out a way to get you the link so you can send out either an I am statement to yourself or a free card for a friend or family member, whatever you choose to use that, or show some gratitude to someone that you know maybe is not feeling so hot and maybe make their day.
Thank you for that, Kina. We'll offer another option as well. We'll be emailing out. Marty has agreed to share his slides and also some inspirational quotes. And so once we get that email from Kina, we'll also include it in that one email that goes out to the group.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was great. Thank you, Marty.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. All right, April, you want me to wrap it up?
Yes. Take us out, Marty.
Well, I was making the point a while ago. It's now I'm gonna proudly wear the badge and the identification as an Indian unicorn. I love it. That's awesome. Because you know,
Indian name.
You know, seriously, you know, prior to 4 years ago, I would have never sat in a business conference and talk about the things that I've talked about today or share my story in this way. But because I am so grateful and because I have been filled with gratitude and because I have observed that in business circles, you know, we like to show up with our business face on and our suit and our tie or ever what is in our culture, our business uniform. We just aren't real. We're too fearful of expressing our feelings and expressing emotions. And so to demonstrate that I am now fearless in talking about my emotions, my gratitude, and my love. Well, I have never in my life written a poem. I've written one, and you're getting ready to hear it, the one and only. Because writing poems and talking about this stuff, that's not something that I would have ever done. But I've been changed. I've been changed, I think, for the good, for through the trials that I've been through. And so I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to be real with you, and I'm going to read you this poem, a one and only poem that I've ever written. And the title of the poem is She's With Me. Her thick black curls frame those green eyes and Hollywood smile. Thank God for assigned seats. The alphabet brought me to this aisle. She's sitting right in front of me in College Chapel. Do I have enough game? I've always been proud to be an Edwards, but today, Dykes is my lucky name. Would she? If I ask her to lunch, would she let me say, she's with me? Lunch after chapel was a safe approach. Keep talking all the way to the line. Don't risk rejection or ask her anything. Keep talking. You'll be just fine. Required daily chapel? Yes. So much to be grateful for. Top of that list today, that Hollywood smile. Pray and try to think of you. I'm trying, Lord, but you put me on this aisle. Would she? If I ask her to a movie, would she let me say, she's with me? In time, she told me about her 2-year-old self and the near encounter with death. Hot water explosion in the garage. Lord, please, Lord, this can't be her last breath. Her 8-month pregnant mother sprinted to the baby girl's side. She seemed untouched. Her mother knew then that God had delivered this girl twice. Blisters soon rose on the baby girl and foretold the pain that was to come. These burns may not be survived. God's touch is the only thing that can numb. Saved from the fire, but not from years of grafting skin, please, God, shield her eyes to scars and let your spirit in. Would she? I see no scars, but only the smile. So please, girl, let me say, she's with me. Chapel, lunch, movie, go to church, then push repeat. She's so hot, and my heart beats fast. Can I take the heat? Where do we go from here? To me, there is no doubt. Thick black curls, piercing green eyes, and Hollywood smile, those are the things I can't live without. Would she be my wife and forever let me say, she's with me? It's a girl, it's a girl, it's a girl. Yep, 3. I cherish those words. Many times God's indescribable gifts do come in thirds. God wanted my girls to know the beauty of being a daughter of the King. No woman better to model faith, grace, and beauty than the one who wears my ring. Would she be the mother of my girls and forever let me say, she's with me? Cancer. No, God. For the 40 years I've known her, she's been strong. She's a superior athlete, can outwork 3 men. This must be wrong. For so many years, I've been proud to say, she's with me. She's moved to be with the Lord, gone from my earthly eyes, but my heart is comforted by knowing she's with me. She's moved to be with the Lord, but my greatest comfort now is I hear Jesus say, she's with me. So thank you very much for listening all through the presentation, but thank you very much for staying a little bit over time and hearing my one and only poem. I know you ladies don't need as much encouragement on this point, but as us hard-headed old guys that like to think we're tough, but even you ladies, don't miss a chance to express your gratitude. Don't miss the chance to express your love and be real with people, whether in personal circles or in business circles. Be genuine and be genuine with your expression of gratitude. So thank you again very much. I've enjoyed it. April, thank you for the invite.
Thank you for accepting and sharing your gifts. And also, if you've enjoyed this story, Marty's company if you can follow his company on Facebook and LinkedIn, I believe, right?
Yes.
And that'll be in the follow-up email. So again, all is good. I don't even need to watch a romantic comedy now. Eh? All right. Well,
I want to thank I have a couple of my friends that's joined us today.
Okay.
And I want to thank Linda and both Jay for jumping in and joining us today. I appreciate your support and your listening in. And thank you to all my new friends, or not as old friends. Deborah's on here. She's one of our cohorts in the group. And Jen was on here earlier as one of our leaders in the Audubon Business Support Group. So I'm just so much more grateful because I got friends everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you all and have a beautiful Friday. See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, Lisa, I'm working on sending you that right now.
Oh, the email?
I'm a little technologically challenged, so you're like my new person to send this to. So bear with me. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll include my phone number.
Okay, and you have